Hi boys and girls, it's me Butch. My name is Terry David Silvercloud. I'm not native, it just sounds that way. Today is the 13th of July, Thursday, 2023, and I'm down at English Bay taking in a few rays with the locals. So I want to make a video this evening about something that I've talked about before, and recently I've been mentioning Mormons. So I thought what I'm going to talk to you about, if you care to listen, is how King James accidentally killed the Church of Latter-day Saints and the Mormon religion with his translation of the Latin Bible into English. And this all occurred, let's go back and I'm going to give you a little bit of background. Way back in the olden days, after Jesus died, the Jewish population in Judea, around where they all were living, were giving the Romans a bit of a headache. And the Roman Empire was always terrified of somebody overthrowing him anyway. And so around the year 68, he decided the way to fix the problem was just to kill all the Jews, get rid of all of them, every single one of them, and be done with it. So he sent 60,000 troops to Judea and basically killed everybody they could lay any Jewish person they could lay hands on. They killed them or they took them into slavery. So children and women would no doubt be taken into slavery, and the men, if they were really, it would depend. The point is, it wasn't a good time for the Jewish people starting around the year 68. But the war didn't end quickly. You would have thought it would be, but it dragged on for a couple of years, and the reason for that is a whole bunch of them holed up in the hills, the highlands and caves, which are accessible mainly by goat and by narrow footpath or ladders. And they had water up there, apparently, the whole bit. So it took the Romans 2 years to build a ramp up the side of the hills. And once they had built a ramp, they just stormed their troops up there and killed anybody who hadn't already jumped off the cliffs to avoid being captured by the Romans. Because at that point, if you were taken into captivity after all that annoyance to the Romans, they'd make sure you had a really nasty death, probably in the Colosseum, which I think had been built by that time. If it wasn't, you would still be, you would not be taken by the Romans. So anyhow, you would think that would be the end of all that. But then I think it was around the year 1947, but quite a while back now, a shepherd boy came across some pottery. Inside were some scrolls, and you will know them as the Dead Sea Scrolls. And that's sort of a good thing for what I'm about to talk about, because within these potteries, one of the book's scrolls, which was largely intact, was the book of Isaiah. And in the book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 12, is the Lucifer verse. That is the only verse where Lucifer appears in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And what's good about that is we have an actual real copy of what the Jewish people thought Isaiah 14:12 should be, written in their own language. All right, now we're going to mention the. Did I get that? What's that mission next? So we got to jump to the Book of Mormon and how that was supposedly created by its creator or authors. The authors were supposedly heavenly, but the person that brought all this to our attention was, geez, I forgot his name now, Joseph Smith. Geez, getting old. Anyhow, we got the Book of Mormon, and one other thing. Oh, I haven't got to that yet. Okay. Smoked too much pot or something. So his book was supposedly written around the time of Jesus, which is okay, which is around the same time as the scrolls would have been written that got left behind in the caves after the Romans came in and tried to wipe out the Jews from the Palestine area. Now, he says, the guy who started the Church of Latter-day Saints, that this stuff was all written down at the time of Jesus. And we should jump now to King James. Let's jump over to the year 1605. By this time, King James had come to the throne, and he decided that there should be a Bible in the language of the people that they could understand. Enough of this Latin gibberish. And it's not that some people hadn't attempted to do this already, but most of them ended up being burned alive or killed horribly for their attempts to do so. But good news for King James, because when he ordered his guys to make with a new Bible and do it quickly, they already had a bunch of English translations upon which they could draw, and of course they had the Latin Bible. Now, the Latin Bible was translated by Jerome. We're going backwards again here. See, I should have got this in order. In the year 385 to 395, by this time the Roman Empire was falling apart in Rome, and they'd moved, to Constantinople, and so the Christians were taking over Rome. And the Christians decided to get their act together. They held a council in ISIAH, and they decided that they should have a Bible, and they appointed Jerome to write it. And he took some liberties, and one of the liberties he took was in Isaiah 14:12. Now, I can't say for sure whether Lucifer, which is a Latin word, was a common name for the morning star of Venus or not. I just don't know. But in any case, in Isaiah 14:12, when they're talking about the star, which is the son of the dawn, that kind of thing, he took some poetic liberties and put in the word Lucifer. So the word Lucifer appears in the Latin Bible. And we jump again back to the King James Bible, and they said, what the hell? And they just translated the Latin Bible pretty much word for word out of Latin into English. And so if you get the King James Bible, Isaiah 14:12, the English is a pretty much word for word translation of the Latin Bible written by Jerome, who took some liberties with what he called the morning star. So in 1983, all the Western sort of Christian churches got together and said, we gotta fix this. They wanted to fix a number of errors. Oh, I should mention in the King James Bible, King James wouldn't allow certain words to be used. And I gather one of the words that you will not see in the Bible is tyrant, because King James says, here's a list of words, you're not allowed to use these words. But as long as these words don't appear, I'm good with it. Geez, now I lost my train of thought. Where were I? So, what we have is the Book of Mormon was supposedly written around the time of Jesus, and we have an exact Aramaic written down words of Isaiah 14:12, and we have the King James Version, which translated the Latin. I'll check, make sure my gear is still there. How good it is. And in 1983, the churches thought, we got to fix a bunch of these little errors, and one of the major errors was Isaiah 14:12 and the word Lucifer. Everybody agreed that was just a big boo-boo, and we got to get rid of it, and they did. So if you look at all modern Bibles, other than the Latin Bible, and other than, so that's it. If you look at all Bibles now, in Isaiah 14:12, Lucifer is gone. Lucifer is dead. But And the Jehovah's Witness even changed their Bible. The Jehovah's Witness, they got their own Bible. They fixed it too. Said, oh yeah, right. We agree with that one. That was silly. Yet they like the Book of Revelation. Who knew? But anyhow, even the Jehovah's Witness got rid of Lucifer. But the Book of Mormon, that's a bit of a problem, because in NEPHI 2, the second book of NEPHI, chapter 24, the wording is word for word, exactly word for word what was written in the King James Bible between the year 1605 and 1611, and which has absolutely nothing to do, which is in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it has no bearing. There is no Lucifer in the Dead Sea Scroll. Never was, never going to be. A good translation, I think, is Son of the Dawn. You can look it up. They're referring, obviously, everybody's referring to Venus. And that's just sort of poetic anyway, because if you read all of Isaiah 14, the Jews are talking about a fallen Babylonian king. They're saying, ha ha, look at you now you're gone and dead. Boo-hoo for you, like we care. Bye-bye. So Isaiah 14 is all about the Jews sort of saying, good riddance to those Babylonians. That's what they were talking about. There never was a Lucifer. But for the Mormons, this is a big problem, because now it proves, I would think, let me check my gear, still there. Now good, it's still there. It proves pretty much beyond a doubt to this boy, and I'm an atheist, I'm a devout atheist, that the Book of Mormon was plagiarized, much of it from the King James Bible, and that makes the whole story about how it came to be total bluey. Fake. So I think I made my point. Hope it was amusing. I don't want to talk too long, because I'm noted for losing my place now that I'm old and rambling. He's getting old and he's rambling. Okay, I think that's it. This is English Bay, Thursday evening, on a warm, sunny July in Vancouver. We're experiencing problems for, not a water supply problem, but forest fire problems because of the lack of rain. So as much as I love the sun, we could probably use a good drenching for a few days. And now I'm going to walk over to the camera and hope I covered everything, and tell you that the King James Version of the Bible literally destroyed. I'm reaching around behind the camera here to find a button. Did I find it? There it is. The King James Version of the Bible destroyed the Book of Mormon, Book of NEPHI, chapter 24. Look it up. Bye from Butch.